Anna asked you a question earlier and you didn't tell the truth.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever threatened you? Threatened your life?
So I just went to the office and was like, there was no one in the office. So I sent them a picture being like, well, I'm at your office. There's no one here.
What do you find funny about this industry?
There were a lot of props who have broker owners who started switching their URLs. And you're like, why? And as a consequence, you can see something and very quickly go, even if they're saying they're doing it for reason X, that it's actually because of reason Y.
Are there any creepy stories that you know about and you've been wondering whether to share about them or not?
Yeah.
Hey everyone, it's James, the founder of Pipfarm. We're here in London to speak to one of my good friends from this industry, David Kimberley. He is the founder of a very popular online trading blog for the business-to-business part of the industry. So he's creating knowledge and content for broker owners, prop firm owners, and people in the industry. And it's always fascinating to talk to him because he has... Don't laugh.
No,
you don't
lapping it all in.
Yeah.
All of the praise, yeah.
Okay, enjoy it, because
Yeah.
we're going to get into it.
Yeah.
We've prepared some really tough questions for you.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. And I'm here with my colleague Anna, our co-host.
Hello, everyone.
And so we actually met David a couple of days ago in Cyprus. And we informed him that we'll be in London and we should do a podcast together because... at the start of the year, I was on his podcast.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of your, it's your most popular podcast.
It's my most popular video, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's about 800, so it's not saying a crazy amount, but for the vertical I'm in, it was very good. And actually, a lot of people watched that and gave kind of good feedback.
Yeah.
So,
well, it was a very good one.
Yeah. So,
and it was a great topic as well. So this one should also do really well because now we're going to reverse things and we're going to talk to David about his experience in the industry.
Sure.
So my first question, have you ever traded and are you a trader?
So the answer, yes. The short answer is yes, I have traded. I actually still trade intermittently. Am I a trader? I see it more as like, I think there's two ways of seeing trading. So I think the first way is probably the more prop or even average person that's using a broker, where they see it as almost like a career. It's almost like a thing that you can become, and they're really into different strategies and stuff. I see it more like, I guess, almost like a hobby, right? And I would say I'm also much more, say, fundamentals driven. So if I trade, it's because I see some kind of opportunity. Rather than always looking for one, right? So I guess the analogy I would use, right, is I like playing poker. I really enjoy it. I'm not a professional poker player. There are people that are professional poker players who are probably way more into it than I am, but I still enjoy it. I still understand the game. So yeah.
Nice. So what inspired you to start your website?
So it's also kind of a long story. So basically, I used to work at another industry publication 6 years ago.
And actually, maybe I don't think I gave a detailed enough
introduction.
Yeah. So what is your website about? Because
sure. So it actually started as a once a week email. So it was on Substack and it was called cfdsweekly.com. And originally I was doing it alongside my full-time job, and the reason was just that. So I was kind of familiar with the industry from a previous job. I was working actually at that point when I started at an asset management company. And I think there are really three reasons. One, I found the sort of financials of more of the broker model, but actually more and more the prop model is interesting as well. The sort of financials of the business, how it works, the kind of operations behind it. Another factor was sort of risk management, trading, dealing. I would actually describe it as market making from the point of view of a broker, because the logic that underpins that is much more, I guess, salient and interesting to me in some ways than actually trying to speculate on the markets. And the final point was just because I found it funny. I think it's a very funny, strange industry. Okay. It's kind of like for a bunch of reasons.
I think that's interesting. So
yeah.
What do you find funny about this industry?
Man, there's so many things. I mean, the
people,
kind of people involved are very funny. the range of characters you meet. You know, we were at this event last week. I think it's very unique. Like in terms of you'll meet people who are interesting, who have a kind of range of personalities. They're from all over the world. You can also, you can meet someone, like literally last week I met someone who is a senior trader at quite a big, actually more, they have an institutional and a retail brand, but he's more on the institutional side. This guy's been trading for like 30 years, but he also left school when he was like 16. So he's an old futures trader from the UK. And at the same time, you can meet someone who is, another guy who had a PhD in machine learning, who's working actually more on both the prop and the broker side. So you have this huge, I guess, it's just lots of different interesting people. And yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And there's also just curious things about it, right? Like it's such an omnipresent industry. When you are aware of kind of prop and brokers and trading, you see it everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. Like literally, I got back from the event on Friday. On the weekend, you start seeing cabs with eToro on it everywhere. Today I was watching a YouTube video. The first ad is FTMO, and so I think when you're in it, you kind of see it everywhere. But the average person is completely oblivious to it. Yeah. So there's lots of other parts of it, but I think those are the main ones. Yeah.
Okay. What's the weirdest thing that has happened to you in this industry?
That's a good question, man.
That you can
on camera.
There must be many. There must be many.
I think probably going to Vanuatu. So that was a very cool experience, and that was entirely because of being involved in this industry. So I think on the broker side, right? There's a lot of companies that have a license in Vanuatu, and for various reasons ended up going there, and it was a crazy experience. It was like
most people probably have never heard of that place or know where it is. So
yeah,
Google it.
Yeah. So that was very cool. But there's so many things, there's definitely, I think that would be the most notable one. But yeah, a lot of strange things end up happening. Yeah, because there's brokers, a lot of the time brokers, and probably I think we'll start to see this happen more with props when they become more, they kind of reach the same sort of marketing level as you can go to events and there'll be like a ex Manchester United football player or something there, right? There's spending so much money on marketing, and the kind of influence that gives you and access that gives you can also be quite interesting in other ways. Yeah.
Can you share a little bit more about what was the cool thing that happened?
What, in Vanuatu?
Yeah.
It was. I have actually written about it.
So you met the dude in charge of the regulator.
Yeah, so we met the regulator, we met the former finance minister. We went to the French ambassador's house. I don't think I revealed that, but we did. I hung out with the Chinese ambassador to Vanuatu. So that was a very cool experience. We sat in a hotel, talked for 2 hours with this guy who was quite a senior politician there. And one of the interesting parts of that is they, even though it's such a small place, they actually have a huge amount of influence because it's one of these sort of countries that's at the forefront of the US-China conflict or potential US-China conflict. So I'm not going to reveal what he said, but like that, it was very interesting to experience that. And I had to just keep being in my head, like, how am I here? Why did this happen? And it is because of this industry. So yeah.
When you're writing, how do you get to information? Are you looking for whistleblowers? Are you?
I pull up James. I'm like, what's happened now?
I'm a snitch.
Yeah, no. Honestly, it's very varied. So I think what's funny is a lot of the time, actually at the event last week, I spoke to someone who I did I wrote a story that had left a company, and I can't even remember how I found this out, but his company then thought that he had told me. That actually happens quite often where it's like, no, and then I feel bad because it's like I'm getting people in trouble for something they didn't do. But yeah, to answer your question, I think when you follow the industry for a while, right, you kind of see, you start to be able to read between the lines on stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'll try, like as a very simple example, right? There were a lot of props who have broker owners who started switching their URLs, and you're like, why? And then very quickly you go, it's because of Google ads, or it's because of
They're trying to separate the
regulator,
business.
or it's because of meta quotes telling them that they have to do this. And so there's definitely times where somewhat you will just be able to go to someone and ask them, like, why is this happening? But a lot of the time you just kind of start to understand how different mechanisms within the industry work.
Mm-hmm.
And as a consequence, you can see something and very quickly go, I know they're doing that. Even if they're saying they're doing it for reason X, that it's actually because of reason Y. So yeah, I think does that answer your question?
Yeah.
I use the analogy that journalists are like lawyers,
Yeah.
that they have a bunch of secrets that they take to the grave.
Yeah, it's probably true as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably true to a large extent. Yeah.
Are there any creepy stories that you know about and you've been wondering whether to share about them or not?
Yeah.
Can you share
There's some,
something?
but I'm not going to share them. There's definitely. I think, but you know what? To be fair, I think that's true in any industry where
Money is
skeletons.
involved.
money is involved. No, but like, you know, I worked before in asset management, and before that at a stockbroker, retail stockbroker. So I would say a lot more vanilla than this industry, but you still had interesting people and stories in that world. So yeah, there's definitely things that you hear and that kind of stuff. But you know, another point I'd make on that, right, is like a lot of the time the kind of gossip thing is if you hear a certain story about a company, it can often be like someone who's just bitter because they had a bad time there, and then you know you can speak to someone about, let's say, a CEO, and one person will say this guy is the worst person ever, and then another person you speak to will be like they're a genius, they're the most amazing person ever. So you have to take things with a pinch of salt as well.
Yeah.
You must get a lot of shitty tip-offs, right?
Not that much actually. Like actually, a lot of the time, I think if someone is willing to go out of their way to speak to you, then usually it's true. Actually, one point I make is that the worst people are retail people. I'm not exaggerating this. I've never had someone who was a retail client so what they'll usually do is they've been screwed over. I don't know, lack of a better term. They've been cheated by, let's say, a prop or by a broker.
Please don't point at me when you say that.
No, I'm not saying no, but this is positive. I think for the industry, right? Which is actually in every instance that has ever happened, they've always been a scammer. I'm not exaggerating. I have never had someone come to me who was trying to like make the claim that you know I was trading with this broker, and then that you know they didn't pay me or something. Like, they did this, they wouldn't pay me. And then when you actually look into it, you start to realize you just tried to scam them, and you're mad that it didn't work and you can't get your money back. So
now you're trying to use me as leverage.
Yeah, 100%. So I mean, like, I'll give you an example. The last time that happened, well, actually, that happened quite recently, and then I just said to the guy who was doing it for someone else, are they a scammer? He went, yeah. And I said, okay. I'm obviously not going to report that then. But the time before that, there was someone who was really trying to convince me, you know, this company did something bad. I said, okay, send the trade proofs, and immediately you can see it's like 12 people all trading from the same IP address and that kind of stuff. So you know it's just, yeah. So I actually think those people they're the ones who most try and feed you stuff because they want to, you know, get back at the people who kind of defeated them, actually. Yeah. So yeah.
Have you ever had threats from someone about different stories not to publish?
No.
Okay.
No. I swear, no. No, honestly, no. No one has ever. Weirdly, actually, in the last week was the first time I had someone really mad at me.
Okay.
And it was over the most kind of unexpected thing, which was it was actually about FTMO, and I was doing an article about like how they're marketing, and it was actually, I actually think it was a good article. You know, I used this tool which I hadn't used before to basically scrape all of their Google ads and then see how they were targeting different places. And I said, you know, the ex-Yugoslav countries, and this guy went crazy. You know, that was the most angry he's been. This guy was like, "How dare you use this phrase that you're so English people so arrogant that you are blah blah blah. So I think that was the worst hate mail I've had. So it could be much worse, you know.
Do you feel like you have to self-censor because your subjects that you write about are also your potential customers?
No, you know what? To be fair, no, not really. No, I think most people who I work with actually are very hands off. So no advertiser has ever come to me and said, "Don't say this."
But you probably have decent customers.
What do you mean?
Like customers that you wouldn't need to write, ooh, $7 million missing from
Yeah, exactly.
my esteemed customers.
Yeah.
Client money
I think
account.
that's probably one part of it. Yeah. But no, I mean a lot of them are sort of technology providers. So I mean, you guys with CTrader, for example, who you guys use, and I think the main reason they are actually probably a good example, right? I think the main reason they partner with me is just because they like it, they find it entertaining. I think they appreciate the fact that most people who are working in the industry, or a lot of people in the industry who read it, feel the same way. So yeah, so they've never said anything, or yeah.
Okay. So you hosted an event in London a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And we're sorry we couldn't come. We were
You
busy
stuck in
Colombia.
LATAM, yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm actually not sorry about that. I was just explaining to Anna was very confused why everyone is saying sorry all the time.
Oh, in the UK.
Yeah.
And I was explaining.
Guilt, you know,
yeah.
from the time we're children, we're made to feel ashamed and guilty all the time. You have to apologize. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's difficult to resist. Yeah.
It's very weird for me. I had to ask James, why are you all the time saying sorry for no reason?
Yeah, she thought I was weird, and now we're here. She's like, okay.
Okay.
You're all the same.
Yeah, we do apologize a lot. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah.
And yeah, sorry we couldn't get to the event. But 2 questions. How did it go?
Yeah.
And I guess I can ask my other question after that one.
It went well. Yeah, I mean, it's when you're doing, from my point of view, when you're doing something like for the first time, it's a big learning experience. I mean, you guys are running kind of like a startup, so you probably have the same thing. So it was very intense because I was doing it by myself and I was having to run a news website at the same time. So it was a lot of work, and it was felt very hardcore in that sense. But it went well. We had really good people. I mean, we had like Revolut came and IG Group and all those sorts of guys. On the prop side, there was like FXify and Fintoki. So it went well. It was good. Everyone, I think the most positive thing is I tried to get negative feedback from a lot of people because obviously you want to improve, and everyone was like, no, it was pretty good. So yeah.
Nice.
I'll take that as a win. Yeah.
And would you do it again? Do you see this as being a big part of the future of your media empire?
Media empire. I mean, I think that the day before, I was like, I'm never doing it again. I absolutely hate this. I'll never, never again. I'll leave it to the other guys because they do a good job. But no, I think firstly when it's done and it's kind of over, it's almost like it's this big build up and like intense pressure, and then it's kind of this big release.
Like a wedding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, so when it's done, you just feel very happy. And then I was like, the next day I was like, boom, gonna do that again. So the plan is to do it again. I think might have to rejig certain facets of it, the kind of, but yeah, we'll do it again. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the potential pitfalls or downsides is less about it's less about the event and more just it feels like the UK is kind of dying. So that's something I need to think about. It does feel like Dubai has become more of a sort of hub. On the other hand, you look at the props, there's so many that are based here, so that's maybe something to look more at. But I guess the short answer is I'll do it again. So yeah.
What is the one of the most interesting or the most interesting story that you've written about?
Most interesting story I've written
As you
about.
can see, I'm more into storytelling. Tell me a
Yeah.
story.
No, that's a good question. I think it's probably quite a nerdy answer, but I actually enjoy stuff like looking at the FTMO marketing and that kind of thing is in some ways much more interesting to me than something like salacious, if that makes sense. I don't think I've ever found something that's very salacious. It's more technical stuff, and I think also that's why people like it. Definitely that's why like, industry people like it, and it's kind of the reason I started doing it.
You go deeper.
Hey?
You go deeper than other
Yeah.
competitors.
Well, I don't know, but like, yeah, definitely that was why I started. Started it. It was because of. It was primarily like I think so the main things, right? If you're prop and probably if you're a broker as well, right? You're really thinking about like risk and marketing, and actually the sorts of things that people do to kind of win the game because it's so competitive, is for me very interesting. But that's quite I guess that's quite a nerdy answer to your question. So I like those sorts of topics, whether or not the average person would like them as much, I don't know, but that's I think those are the sorts of areas I like looking at.
Interesting. So you mentioned marketing.
Yeah.
Would you like to share what kind of conclusions you've come to and how are the most successful companies using marketing in their favor? What are the similarities that they have in their approach?
So I think the FTMO one was interesting because if you look at it, I actually don't think they're doing anything that is that amazing. I think they have a big first mover advantage. You know, there's like them. I think Top Step was actually before them, even though FTMO says they're the first one, but whatever. FTMO is kind of perceived as being the first one, the big one. If you look at how they kind of see themselves, you know, I've kind of interviewed them and met them like once or twice, and they definitely see themselves as kind of like the top brass.
Yeah.
But if you actually look at what they do marketing wise, it's not. I wouldn't say it's that distinct from what a lot of other prop firms are doing. And to me, what's kind of interesting about that, right, is it's sort of like brand credibility, the benefit of just being early.
Yeah.
Like if you compare it to say IG in the broker space, IG Group in the UK, right? Do they do anything that is like that amazing marketing wise? Like they definitely are good at it, but I would say a big part of the reason they're successful is just they're the oldest one that's still going, and so they have a lot of this kind of legacy. There's a perception that they are the best one. So I would say for what FTMO is doing, it's actually kind of like it seems to be very reliant on that rather than anything kind of particularly amazing they're doing in terms of like Google Ads or in terms of organic or in terms of stuff like this. So I think that's something. I guess the takeaway, right, would be like brand is actually very important. Credibility is very important, which is I think in some ways it seems like what you guys are trying to build with things like this, right? It's kind of sense of like personality, credibility, openness. So I think those things are very important to the end consumer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is very little for that. You know, if we were to compare CFD firms with prop firms, there is no license, there is no regulation, there is no, mummy and daddy looking after the traders like there is for CFD trading.
Yeah.
So that puts all of the work on the traders, in the traders' hands.
Yeah.
They're the ones who have to figure out if a prop firm is good or not.
Yeah.
You made a great point the other day, I don't remember when, but traders didn't have to worry about this 3 years ago because it was unheard of that it just wasn't in their mind that a prop firm could ever close down, and then they will find out that it is possible quite quickly and quite intensely. And now it's their first, the first thing they think about before choosing a new company to work with.
Yeah.
And then that's our main job and our main mission, why we're doing all of this and talking to credible people like you and helping you create interesting content about the industry and also helping you to understand the industry so that you can be on our side to raise the awareness and also have this not just credibility mechanism, but a mechanism for transparency too. So this is why it's good to work with journalists and support what you're doing as well. But journalism is an important mechanism in every industry.
Yeah.
Even if there's a regulatory body, there also needs to be something that's independent.
Yeah. I think actually one of the really interesting things or differences with prop is this sort of, I feel like it's a much more millennial Gen Z, for lack of a better term, product than brokers are. If you look at, say, the marketing of a broker, it's very kind of corporate. It's like impersonal. I'm not saying that's bad, by the way. I'm just saying that's how it is. Yeah. Whereas I feel like with props, it's almost like they're really good at kind of new media and things like that, right? If you look at, say, I would draw an analogy, right? If you look at, say, podcasts over the last 10 years, or streaming, or even certain YouTube channels and stuff like that, right? I think people who are, I'm 30, I think people who are like 20 to 35 have grown up in this kind of new media environment. And what they expect from companies and how they interact with them is very different to someone who is, something parents' age. And I think props have been really good at catering to that audience. And I think, one big part of that, and it is a kind of, you need this sort of more personal touch. You need to be more open. You need to be out there, putting your face in front of the camera like you guys are doing, which I actually see is a positive thing, right? Like helps build credibility, helps build trust. But I think another interesting kind of consequence of that, which I've spoken to you about before, is that it really reminds me of crypto. Like if you look at the crypto market, people are really kind of invested in the project. It's like, they have they have some kind of coin. People are really into it. They kind of want to know everything about it. There's a community around it. And that doesn't really exist at all in say the broker space. Like no one is really into.
No one knows.
No one's really into like Pakistan. maybe they are, but there's no. I don't think there's any kind of like big group chat and people talking about them and that's not to say that's a bad thing, right? It's just I think people just see it in a much more functional way. They go, okay, this is a broker. I open my account. I trade. Do I get money? Do they have good support? It's just kind of much more. I don't know. It's much more like pragmatic in some ways. Mm-hmm. Whereas with the prop, it feels like people are really kind of invested in the brand, the personalities around it, the sort of community around it, and that kind of thing, which is, I find it cool. I think that's quite an interesting. It to me is amazing that props have been able to build this sort of like mass market product or popularity. Like I literally see some videos with either made by prop companies or people who are in the sector, and I'm like, I can't believe that is real, almost. Like in terms of how much traction it gets. Yeah. Sometimes I think it might actually not be real, but like for a lot of them it obviously is. And I think that's crazy. Like there's no way that there's no broker, I would say, who is managing to make people who are as engaged and interested in the product. I just don't think there is, and that's something I think is kind of blows my mind. Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Like honestly, it's a really good question. I don't know. I think part of it is probably just like being honest. I think part of it is probably the regulatory thing, because a big consequence of that, right, is the fact that if you're a broker, you have to be very risk averse. Mm-hmm. Right, so it's not just that you're not allowed to say certain things. It's also the fear of what you may not be allowed to say. They may not have
told you yet, but they might tell you after.
Yeah, and you then have to think, right. There's a whole process of like, if you would like, for example, we're sitting here, we're doing this. If you were at a broker, you would have to go. Okay, you have to go to a marketing person.
Can I say that?
Yeah. Well, with the prop, you don't have to do it. So I think that's one. I think that's definitely one part of it. But I think another facet of it is just they're better at marketing, right? I really think that's it. I think they've been much better at making an exciting product, of coming up with something new, and of delivering that message in a way that's more appealing to retail traders.
And I think also the target customer is different. Mm-hmm. Because for brokers, they would target people that have money, more money. Well, when it comes to prop firms, the entry ticket is much lower. So that's why the marketing approach is different as well.
Yeah, I think that could be.
And also
Nothing
why
could be
the
part of it,
marketing
yeah.
approach works as well. Because I've seen a couple of brokers who are taking a similar approach, but they don't get anywhere near as much traction as
Yeah.
what we do on our videos as like a much smaller company in comparison.
Yeah.
So our videos can get thousands of views in less than a day,
Yeah.
and something from a broker that is
Yeah.
relatively similar gets like 100 after a month,
Yeah.
because the audience is different and they're used to seeing different content and they don't appreciate it maybe.
Yeah. No, I think that's. I agree. I mean, I think one downside of that, right? If I think of it more with my financial brain on, is obviously that, if you are a broker and you have a very wealthy audience and 100 of them watching your video and 5 of them deposit on the back of that, that can be amazing for you, because if they're depositing, 5-figure amount,
It's a good video.
that's awesome, right? Whereas
Yeah.
if you're a prop, then it's a bit like you're so capped, I guess, revenue wise at the challenge fee. So it's that, yeah, I think there is a different model. On the other hand, I know that, like, so you asked about the event, right? One of the funny things that happened was I went there the day before to set up, ping up booths and stuff like that, and the guy that ran the venue was like, "Oh, what is this thing? It's weird." And I said to him, it's kind of like trading, and he went, "Oh, it's forex," and I went, "Yeah." And then he opened his laptop and he was doing a prop challenge with I won't say a name because I don't want to market them. No, he was doing it with Think Capital.
Okay.
But he had been trading on his own account for ages. He'd made EAs and stuff, and he just said, "This makes way more sense to me because I'm paying." I think he was getting like a $500 challenge or something, and he was like, "I'm pretty confident I can do it." Whether or not that's the case, we'll see. But he seemed pretty confident, and the end outcome, if he does, is much better for him.
Yeah. This is the entire value proposition of prop trading: is it limits the personal risk of the trader.
Yeah. So I think that definitely is another. Yeah, that is probably another reason it succeeded. I also wonder, like, if obviously in the UK now you have leverage restrictions, and that's true in Europe, Australia, Singapore, and the US as well. The US is kind of a crazy market for brokers, just because you need 20 million just sitting there doing nothing just to be able to
Be considered.
So I wonder, would it be as big if those restrictions were not in place?
Maybe it would even be
I don't know.
bigger, because trading would be first of all, traders would be losing way more if they had higher leverage.
Yeah.
So then that value proposition of limiting risk increases. And then probably also there would be more money in the business, which means that there would be more marketing spend, which means there may even be more traders.
Yeah. It's a retroactive one, right? You
Yeah.
can't say, but it's definitely I mean, at a minimum, I think definitely the prop thing has brought in a massive new audience that was not there.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually doesn't even seem that interested, I would say, in brokers.
I've not heard any brokers say that they cross-convert prop traders,
Yeah.
because the value proposition is too good.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, some of them are trying to use now prop firms to convert yeah.
Become relevant as well.
But I think it's not a really good strategy because of the target customer and the money that the target customer has.
Yeah.
So a person that would there is for sure percentage of people that have money to deposit to a broker, but they want to first practice, polish their skills, and make more money with props before they deposit on a broker. But majority of the customers are people that don't have money and want to find a way to make more money with less. Yeah. So
100%. I mean, I think, like literally today I saw 2 brokers adding a prop thing. So, I mean, the value is obviously there. Otherwise they wouldn't do that, right? Yeah.
People do stuff that doesn't make sense sometimes. So there was one broker who contacted me in June last year.
Yeah.
And they wanted advice on starting a prop firm. I told them, don't do it.
Yeah.
The reason is because they already have a product that is way more profitable.
Yeah.
So why confuse yourself with something less profitable?
So, yeah, I
You
mean,
never
so
know.
many.
You never know.
I think
I'm
we're
not.
yet to see
Sorry,
if
I'm
there's.
not. I'm not looking at you like you should answer the question for me.
I think if you look, there's definitely a couple who've added it where I wonder if it's now actually bigger than their broker arm. But
Yeah, there are some, but yeah, I know who you're talking about, and yeah, it can happen as well. But they were very smart with marketing as well.
yeah, I would say so.
Um,
Yeah.
And that's how that happened. And that's the really weird thing as well, is because, and yeah, that's a really good point, because they took a different marketing approach. They took the prop marketing approach.
Yeah.
And that's why brokers taking the broker marketing approach with their prop firm is not going to work.
Yeah.
So, good point.
Yeah. But I mean, what do you mean by the broker approach?
Like we were just discussing.
So
So,
more corporate type
yeah,
stuff, yeah.
doing that corporate, like, the spreads are really low.
Yeah. Razor sharp, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ultra tight, mega thin.
Yeah. 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 No, I would agree. Yeah.
So before we wrap this up, Anna asked you a question earlier and you didn't tell the truth.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever threatened you? Threatened your life?
No one has threatened my life. No, there have been a couple of incidents. Yeah.
Can you say more?
Not really. No. No, there've definitely been. I guess okay. One, there's two that I can say where they're mainly because they're so stupid. Which is that you do get legal threats sometimes. So the most recent one of those actually was kind of funny, it's related to prop. So there was a firm that owns a prop firm, and that also owns quite a big broker actually. And I basically published an article pointing out that they did it very quietly. It didn't say like this. We launched this prop firm, and I was suddenly like, oh my god, that's them. Like they own that company. So I published a thing saying like they own this company, and then within maybe one day, boom, they get legal letter. You need to make your website credible. You need to remove this article because it's blah blah, this kind of stuff. So the problem was that literally on the props website it had their company name, so it was just like owned by blah 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 limited, which is the same company that owns the broker. So I emailed back. I was like, it says on the website that you own this company, and then they removed it from the website. And they emailed me back saying, no, it doesn't. I was like, well, obviously, because you just removed it. And then one of the positives of Google is that you can see who's advertising for a certain brand in a specific way. So if you looked at that company, right, you could just see that they're advertising for both brands on the same Google account. So I was like, so why are you advertising? And then it just got ridiculous. It was like every point that was being. It was so obvious that they owned this company, and they just kept denying it. And then after a certain point, they just stopped. So that was interesting. And actually, there was another funny one related to Vanuatu, which was I said it was again like saying who owns a specific company and who is behind it, and they sent legal letter. We are not the owner. We're not related to this broker. We don't own it. Blah blah blah. But they'd sent it with kind of like. It was just faceless. It was like legal department at brokername.com. And so I said, you can't, there's nothing here. You're just sending like a completely faceless email. I don't even know who you are. Like, I can't take you seriously. I can't. So then they sent back and said, oh, this is from the legal department at whatever. This is the guy's name and this is the address, Vanuatu. And then I was there, so I just went to the office and was like, there was no one in the office. So I sent them a picture being like, well, I'm at your office. There's no one here. I thought we were going to discuss it. So yeah, I didn't take that one down, and again, nothing happened, But yeah, I mean, there's definitely sometimes there's been other stuff which is a bit more like,
Yes.
I guess, hair raising. But yeah, there's nothing too bad.
How was the period when many prop firms were just shutting down?
uh, I mean, for me, it wasn't. For me, it wasn't that bad. Actually, it was definitely, funny to watch, like from the outside. I would actually say that was part of the reason that I started covering it a lot more. It was kind of like FTMO getting big, and then my forex funds was obviously blew up. So no, I think that was a funny period because there were some interesting characters running those companies, right?
So it caught
yeah.
your attention.
Yeah, I mean, but I think, listen, you could see from a lot of those ones. I mean, there was that one, I can't even remember the name of it. It was in the US, and literally the person that ran it was, married to some former con man or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So no, obviously, okay. I'm saying it's funny. It's obviously really sad because people probably lost money, stuff like that. But I actually think it's probably a positive thing because it does seem to have flushed out a lot of people who are bad. And like I would imagine most people watching this are probably sort of traders, stuff like that. Seriously, when you speak to, I will start again. Actually, I was very skeptical about a lot of prop people. When you actually meet most of them, I can't say for like every single one because I haven't met every single one. Genuinely, in most cases, just trying to do the right thing. Yeah, like I remember probably 2 months ago, I went for a kind of a smaller event thing here in London. There was quite big firm, and speaking to them was super interesting because they were, again, from being more skeptical or cynical kind of person, I would look at these guys and go, are they being serious? Are they just going to do the kind of cut and run type thing? But actually, they really cared. They're really interested in how to make the business particularly making the business more sustainable, and so more managing risk correctly and that kind of stuff. So I guess to answer your question, I actually think, like, obviously from a reporter's point of view, it's fun to report on bad stuff happening. Like, I found the My Forex Funds thing. I remember looking at some of the details in that case, and it was pretty great. But for the end consumer, I think that the real positive is like a lot of those people seem to have been kind of flushed out. I haven't seen big shutdowns and stuff like that. You keep hearing that maybe it could happen, but I haven't seen it for a long time.
So the industry is more stable now.
That's my impression. Yeah. I think you had I think like in 2022 and 2023, it seems like there was this huge. There were a lot of people who saw, oh man, you can make so much money doing this. Whether they had bad intentions or they were just kind of like, this is
or they just weren't prepared. They weren't serious.
Exactly right. So I think those sorts of people seem to be gone. Is my impression. Whether or not that's accurate, I think remains to be seen. But for sure, a lot of those guys got flushed out, which I think is very good, right?
Yeah,
I'm pro the industry, so
yeah. For the collective, it's a good thing. For the individuals, it's obviously not a good thing. And as I was saying earlier, this is why it's really important for you guys to do the work and see which companies you trust. And these podcasts are a great way for us to connect with traders and people who are interested in prop. Maybe you don't even care about Pipfarm and you're just trying to understand, is this business model legit? Because most people I ask when they hear about this concept for the first time, it's like really bizarre. Like, what? You give me fake money to trade with and then you give me real money?
Yeah, every new person that comes across the industry is like, this sounds too good to be true. Is it really working? But they also don't know the failure rates of traders. Many traders assume still that there is an actual profit share.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, it's good to write about how the business has been run and to discuss about it, to raise awareness and to help traders to understand what they're buying and what they're signing up for.
Yeah. But I would actually say that my perception, and again, I think this is very positive, I know we're running out of time, so I'll try and be quick, is actually one of the things that made me much more, I guess, positive and kind of bullish on this industry is the fact that when you look at, say, maybe it's an anecdotal way of doing it, but I look at a lot of kind of discussions of people kind of trading with prop firms and trying to figure out which is the best one. And whenever you look at those sorts of things, to me, it's very obvious that they understand how it works. So, I remember there was a video with Justin, who's at FPFX, and this was really like for me, a kind of key point in how I thought about the industry, where he was explaining all of the mathematics behind it and how the kind of business operations works. And when he was talking about that on another podcast, and I was going, man, I can't believe he's just kind of revealing this. He's just, and everyone watching, you could see in the comments, people were like, yeah, I know.
So what?
It's like I know how this works, and that was kind of eye opener to me, because I was in a positive way, because I went, it's good it's bad if someone feels like they got duped, but if someone understands what they're getting into and the kind of risks involved, that's a positive thing to me.
Yeah.
So
as they should, it's your responsibility to understand the risks of the things that you're doing. If you don't understand, it's also your problem, because a lot, like, Pipfarm is not the only company that's trying to explain risks to traders. There are other companies as well.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting part is that we started talking about it after my Forex funds shut down.
yeah,
Before that, no one was talking about that model.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everyone was just focusing, let me get a challenge and let me just trade and get a payout. No one was questioning the model whatsoever. So it was the shutdown that made everyone to talk about it and to become more transparent, and all platforms started changing the wording that they were using in their marketing, on their websites. Before that,
simulated funds.
yes. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Thank you, David, for taking the time out of your day to come and see us in this sweaty London week. Beautiful weather. I told Anna that it's like a different version. Like, there's two versions of England. There's England, and then there's England when it's sunny. So we're very lucky that we got to be here during the summer. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you, Anna, for joining us and guiding us on a insightful conversation. Thank you, David.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure.